Matt Sims alongside Phil Sims. This is Sims Complete on the Believe Sports Network. We're brought to you by FanDuel, and Big Guy had a great weekend of college football, of NFL football, the rankings reaction show, a lot of drama. You know, a lot of people's heads are turning. Sorry, Notre Dame fans. Listen, I feel you. I feel your pain, man, and it's legit. So we won't get too much into those wounds for you guys. But let's talk about just a great weekend in the NFL, and let's get this conversation started with last night's football game, right? The Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. And first of all, before we get into your breakdown, Big Guy, which I'm excited to hear about, but wow, were we reminded of just how violent this football game is, right? I mean,
wow. That was my first line. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the second half started, and I was just like, this is kind of scary. I'm actually happy I don't play football anymore, you know, because it seemed like the hits were just getting that much more intense.
Yeah.
And then my brain started to all of a sudden think, oh, yeah, that's right. Playoff football is a whole nother animal. And then I started thinking about the young quarterbacks at the top of the division leaderboards right now and thinking about like, well, man, they're going to have a really interesting time adjusting to that type of football because it is just a whole nother experience in itself. But this game was phenomenal. I had so much fun watching it. Really just can't say enough about how great both defenses are. We know that at this point. Big Guy, just where do you want to start as far as this Texans victory over the Kansas City Chiefs 20-10?
Well, speed and talent's dangerous. That's
right.
That's what we saw. And it was big time playoff football. That's what that game was. I mean, it was like two boxers. There's so many things you can make out of it. Two guys just going in the middle of the ring and go, we got to stand here. You're just punching each other the whole time.
Right.
And you just go, hell, when's somebody going to fall down?
Right.
And I watched that game really close again this morning. And I tell you, the quarterbacks, they should have got double pay. And it was rough. They both were running for their lives. And I think why I'm bringing it up is I watched it the second time instead of just, as a fan lying in bed watching it last night.
Right.
Is that the quarterbacks it was so much on them. If they wanted to score, they had to make the play. And it wasn't because they designed it and it's easy in the throw. No, everything was work. And I think the one thing I came about, really quickly, I go, CJ Stroud played so much better than I thought he was playing when I was watching the game.
Yeah.
Man, he made, I write all that stuff down. You know how I am, but he had like 4 or 5 plays. You just go, that was spectacular.
So CJ Stroud on the night was 15 of 31 for 203 yards and a touchdown. And that stat line is not indicative of how well and how tough he played in this matchup.
I thought the stat line I was shocked that it was that good, just as you look at it.
Yeah.
Because I just go, oh, man, you're right, man. You're watching it going, damn, I love playing football, but I don't know if I'd like to be in many of those games. But CJ Stroud, the running, getting rid of the football, the pressure he was on, man, I did these things too. Nobody open. That was one of my things, looking at the game and man, between him and Patrick Mahomes, it was about 15 drop back, try to throw the ball, and nobody is even close to being open.
Right.
That was the other thing. And, the guys for Kansas City being so beat up and everything, they kind of hung in there for Patrick Mahomes, allowed him to move. And on the other side, it was rough for CJ Stroud. And the guy that really stuck out in those contests was Chris Jones. Oh my gosh. Matt, he was really, really spectacular.
Yeah.
So I don't know where else to go. There's many things. How about this for the Kansas City offense? A lot of screens.
Yep.
A lot of rollouts. I mean, we're just going to roll the quarterback out. I thought I was watching Pee Wee football there for a while. We're going to roll him out. Right. Nobody open, big numbers, and, 2-man routes. And I think just real quick, the touchdown throw that CJ Stroud had to the running back. And
Marks, yeah.
Marks. He blocked the blitzer, let him go, released. Man, that's always in the playbook for teams. You don't see it work that much or that often anymore.
Yeah.
But man, that kind of broke the ice a little and opened the game up a little bit. But it was a rough, great game to watch. And at times you're going, man, somebody score or whatever. But just the most physical game I've watched all year in the NFL.
I would agree. Definitely the most physical half we've seen in the second half, right? Where it just,
Right.
I mean, let's just kind of go through the list of, I feel like, people who just made unbelievable tackles and plays defensively. So we're going to start with Kansas City, the losing team in this effort. Brian Cook, man, had a huge hit, I believe, on Woody Marks on one of those runs. It was extremely violent. And man, was he flying all over the place. Another guy who popped in a few different situations, Jalen Watson, with maybe the form tackle of the year, right?
Yeah.
That when he made that tackle on one of those short passes there in the flat, that was just phenomenal. Lifted the offensive player off the ground, slammed it to the ground, all legal. But man, the violence in which he did that with was absolutely phenomenal. Shamari Connor, again, it's just another day at the office. Him just taking people's heads off when he does get the opportunity to. He's unbelievable as well. And really, you're right. Chris Jones, that 3-play role there that he had to start the second half really was kind of got the whole party started. Him and George Karlaftis just seemed to be on another level of energy last night in that second half. They were playing just to the wall, just leaving it out there on the field. And of course, hey, Tranquil, Bolton, that's consistent. Those guys are just, they're assassins for you. They really are unbelievable. So in a losing effort, man, Kansas City's defense really did everything that they could to keep their football team in this game.
Yeah, a couple things. You're right. The coverage by both teams, the secondaries were tremendous in the game.
Right.
Because, this wasn't let's run 5 yards and throw me the ball. This was, they were running deep routes, both teams, all night long.
Yeah.
The one thing that during the game I'm watching, and I'm saying, I know this, no matter what happens in the game, Houston, it's about them. You are going to have to really go back and redefine what you want to do, because that blitzing by Kansas City, they had no chance.
Right.
No chance. And, when teams are blitzing like that, sooner or later, you got to find a way. And I don't want to say trick them. The one play to Marks, Matt, that was a touchdown. You got to find plays that they go, they're kind of, they got our number a little bit. We better cool it down. But that never really happened in the game the whole night. And of course, all this, and I thought Chris Collinsworth said some things that were they were on the mark. The game for the Kansas City Chiefs, their defense was playing well enough to win the game.
No doubt. Yeah.
And it became incredibly there in the second half, all the 3 and outs.
Right.
And so give me your thoughts on Andy Reid going for it on the 4th and 1 with 10 minutes to go, if I'm not mistaken. And
that one was interesting because I feel like even Andy Reid had no hesitation. It seemed like he wanted to go for that 4th and 1. The one that I thought was interesting when there was 5 minutes left in the game and they had a 4th and 2 or 3, I believe at the time. And Andy Reid pretty quickly was like, no, we're punting it. Let's go. We punted. We went for it earlier. We're not doing this again. Punt it. We're going to play field position. Patrick Mahomes was the one that I feel like was signaling to the sideline, like, hey, let's go. Give me the play. Doing his old, like, give me the play.
Yeah.
Give me the play. And, I think Andy Reid made the choice of, okay, QB, you want the game here. You can have it. He gave him that opportunity. On both plays, it does seem like they're trying to get the football to Rashee Rice. The one, of course, where he has to move up on that first 4th down. It just seemed like everything kind of got just blown up as far as the play. There was nobody open. On the other opportunity, hey, it goes through Rashee Rice's arms. He moves up in the pocket. He's got an opportunity to find him, and it just doesn't work out. Either way, though, you could just tell for Kansas City offensively, man, a lot of work just to even get simple, easy, cheap completions for them. Yeah. So I'm not sure if it's like there's a combination of this to me. I think it's, yes, Houston's defense is that good. It's that special. I also think, too, just from the season as a whole, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City offense has grown a little stale. it does seem to be a little predictable, at times. I feel like it's like in critical moments, it was like the old West Coast match. We're gonna do two shallows and an in cut, and like it's like that's great, But I would like to see a little bit more, I guess, from the prowess of Andy Reid in critical situations. There were a few, but just not enough when you're going against a team in this talent. And the other thing that kind of pops off to me in this game, big guy, is, and then I guess we'll close up here pretty quickly because we spent 10 minutes on this one already.
Sure.
But for the Houston Texans, they have a bona fide receiver one. There's no doubt about it. It's Nico Collins. And I think that's one thing that I kind of noticed in this matchup is that, like, when they needed to play, it was really simple. We're going to throw the damn ball to Nico Collins. He had 4 catches on the day, 4 for 121, and it did seem like he was that breath of fresh air they needed just to kind of get the Kansas City Chiefs off them a little bit. I thought Jaden Higgins as well, the young rookie out of Iowa State, super impressed by the way that he played. Only had 3 catches as well, but it was 3 for 34, and it seemed like it was like critical moments always when he was getting involved in the football game. So for Houston, man, tough, gritty football win. And Lindsay, our producer of our show, she has a graphic to share with us too. And let's kind of just take a look at the graphic here for a quick second. There it is right there. We got the Super Bowl odds here by FanDuel. And what's fascinating about this, we have 18s up on the screen. That last team there at plus 1,500 is the Houston Texans.
Right.
So here's FanDuel with a 8-5 football team, Houston Texans, not even first place in their own division. Out of these 8 teams, we got the Rams, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bills, Eagles, Broncos, Patriots, and then the Texans. That's what FanDuel has as their Super Bowl favorites at the moment at plus 1,500. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And clearly, FanDuel, along with us as fans, are starting to see, why we're believing in this Houston Texans team because they are a Super Bowl caliber defense. They are that talented. Kamari Lassiter.
Well,
dude,
yeah.
What a play he made on Thornton on that deep post route. Gets beat over the top, recovers, punches the football out beautifully. And I guess, too, for Pat Mahomes and for me and my take on Andy Reid and the offense, if they complete, those 3 plays that we're talking about, we probably feel pretty differently about their offense and how they performed against one of the better defenses in the league.
Yeah. I'm looking at it this way, and I don't second guess. In other words, I'm not going to, sit there, watch it here in my house and go whatever, and then change and come on TV or with the podcast with you and do the opposite. And I immediately, as soon as I saw they were going for it on the first one, I said, why? The score is tied. Your defense, I kind of felt like every time that Houston had the ball, they're going to turn it over. It's got to be a turnover. Here it comes somewhere because they couldn't get open. The way that you said it already, the way they were tackling was incredible. And, maybe it was just they didn't pay patience. And, they don't play many games where they have to be patient like they did last night. Hell, I can't think of any. Patience is a virtue, and that's what they needed. Punt the damn thing. They're destroying, I think, the Houston offense. Right. I kept hearing about offensive lines. I'm not sure that Kansas City's offensive line didn't play better than the Houston Texans.
With a third-string left tackle coming into the football game, going against the 2 of the better pass rushers in the league. And, he did a great job, Pole, right? And coming in service at the left tackle position. It was really impressive how well he played.
And the other time going for 4th down, listen, punt the damn thing. Now I'm adamant, punt it. There is going to be enough time. And now you got the offense going, wow, we're leading. We got to be careful. Hard to call the play that you really want sometimes in those situations. So, man, that was a wicked game, physical, fun to watch. It was like watching football back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Except everybody's bigger, faster, stronger now. And, it was great. And Kansas City decisions are just as important as the skill on the field sometimes. And I thought their decision-making was not good.
Yep. And of course, this year is just the year where all of these close games, they haven't really found a way to come out on top on any of them. Right. And that's something that has not been true to essentially their dynasty run that they've had. So the law of averages, unfortunately, caught up to the Kansas City Chiefs in this one.
Let me say one more thing.
Of course.
This would be it. He did it a couple of times. Patrick Mahomes dropped back and threw what I call the 12-yard out or whatever. That's a route that's kind of died in the NFL. But when there was off coverage and he threw those out cuts, he got the completions. And as the game went on, I saw that opportunity a few more times, but he wanted to go to the side where the 3 or 2 receivers were, and there was nothing there. And I go, wow, you had that completion. And he kind of turned it down, looking for something, I think, bigger and better.
Yeah. Or maybe just not liking the matchup of the one-on-one and really just respecting, Houston in that one-on-one situation and saying, yeah, I'm just not going to risk it. Let me just go through, this progression here because I got 2 options instead of the 1. So
it
could be that, who knows? I would say I would like to see more of that from Kansas City anyway. No doubt Pat Mahomes is brilliant. I know that. But there are, I feel like, just too many plays where it is just like backyard ball. Now, and I feel like I'm making this assessment because it hasn't worked out this year for them. Right. But I just feel like, there's at times where I feel like Patrick Mahomes has made some completions harder on himself because of, the sudden movement or this or trying to make a bigger play happen. So that's just my 2 cents. But, either way.
You go. I'm going to answer the question.
Yeah.
I just figured it out. And I probably had done it before. He didn't do it, what I'm talking about, because that's not what they do.
Yeah, right.
They don't do that. They don't see, there's a match, let me throw the 10-yard out or whatever. I've watched just about every one of their games over the last 5 years or whatever, maybe more. And it's never been part of who they are, but that was something that was there, and they could have taken a little more advantage of. But again, they haven't done it in the past. They weren't going to, I guess, start it last night. So that's all I got to say about that game, which is a lot.
That's we got a lot to say about that game. And honestly, you know what? That game was deserving of that conversation because it is 2 teams that seem to be trending in opposite directions right now. And we did not anticipate this to be one of the storylines of this season, right? Of an ascending Houston Texans football team and a descending Kansas City Chiefs football team, right? Who are now 6-7 on the season. And basically almost out of the playoff picture, right? They're not eliminated yet, but they are most definitely on their way and on shaky ground for sure. So now let's switch it up to another fantastic AFC matchup.
All right.
And that is this is Sims Complete on the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. The Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Buffalo Bills on the road in Buffalo. It was cold. It was snowy.
Oh,
dare I say it was romantic football at its finest. Steve Sable smiling down on us, looking at that game, just saying, I would love to narrate something for this game and to do a little mini doc on it because it had a little of everything. We had great Joe Burrow play early on. The Bengals, it seemed like they were dominating the game, right? It's like, oh, wow, here we go. Cincinnati again, going to go up there in Buffalo in the snow and just whoop them. And then in the third quarter, all right, Josh Allen finds Dalton Kincaid, gets back into it, and all of a sudden they just kind of start finding their way into it. And then ultimately the pick 6 by Christian Benford. Damn, the play of the day to seal the game in the favor of the Buffalo Bills. Big guy, what do you think, man? Where to even start with this football game? What impressed you the most about the Buffalo Bills victory?
Well, many things. Really, first off, for quite a long period of time, I'm just going, oh my gosh, these quarterbacks. I said, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're the snow, the weather, whatever, and they're throwing the ball and they're just machines, not missing anything. And I was probably more enamored with Joe Burrow going, God, he's so smooth and looks like he puts no effort into it. And every ball is boom, right where you want it.
Yeah.
And Josh Allen, I don't think I saw either one of them really in the whole game throw a ball that wasn't a perfect spiral.
Right.
Did they know that it was snowing and windy? Did you get the damn ball? Was it wet every once in a while? Well, apparently not. So the passing was tremendous.
It was.
And Josh Allen, I don't know. I heard something last week about him, but his throwing or his mechanic, whatever you say, he just doesn't lose control of the football. It's amazing. And it gets there with such ease. He throws a 20 or 30, he throws a 30-yard pass down the field that most quarterbacks look at and go, yeah, I could do that, but we got to shorten it to about 18 yards instead of 30.
Right.
And of course, his size and running. And I know the Bengals defense is not that good or anything like that, but great game to watch. I honestly, I wasn't really rooting for either one. But when that ball got tipped that Joe Burrow threw, I went, oh man, that just kind of ruined the game. I was actually a little upset because I wanted to see the two of them, duel until the very end. But a great game, fun to watch. The exact opposite than the Kansas City-Houston game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we got a taste of everything in the NFL yesterday.
Yeah, we absolutely did. And let's stay on the Josh Allen and Buffalo Bills side of it, right, for a little bit more. He was 22 of 28 for 251 and 3 touchdowns. He also had 9 carries for 78 yards, had the touchdown run for 40 yards, where, again, he's just kind of outrunning everybody on the field. And the fact that he's that wide open to start it, and the fact that he's that athletic to just basically outrun anybody in any pursuit to stop him is just tremendous. They rushed for 183 yards total, right? James Cook, 18 for 80 himself on the day. For the Buffalo Bills, yeah, it's one of those games where great win at home to come back, right? Resilient, tough group. We know that about them. Sean McDermott with the right call at the right time with the Christian Benford corner blitz. And then his ability, of course, this is the interesting thing about this too. And I thought when I saw it live and then just even when I watched it on film again, Benford takes a great angle right towards Joe Burrow on his blitz.
Right.
So for quarterbacks, right, there's typically like 2 ways to approach this. There's the 3 throw, right? You dump it over the top, right? And then there's the step to the side and whip it around on the sidearm, right? Drop the arm angle and throw it around, right? Yep. And I thought Benford did a great job of kind of making it into that in-between where Burrow wasn't really sure what he was going to do. It happened so fast. He went with the 3 throw quick. And because of the weather, and I feel like just the overall feel of the football, right? Big Guy, I mean, you know this better than anybody. Like cold days like that, it's hard to have great touch in such a short area that way. And I feel like he threw it even softer than what he typically would. And that's what gave Benford the ability to jump up there and get that interception and then run it back to the house for 6.
Yeah, Buffalo does when they seem to. The offense was hot. The quarterback is throwing it great, and all that. And it was almost like as the longer it kept going, that the defense finally was finding things to do that were working. The blitz, they don't blitz a lot, but when they do, it kind of catches me off guard as a fan just watching the game. And when in trouble, they're not afraid to do it either. The other thing that jumped out to me in the game was the fact that they threw the ball to the tight ends. Knox and Kincaid, they had 10 catches for 134 yards and a touchdown. Yeah. And I've always believed the hell with their wide receiving group, okay? It's okay by NFL standards. Really it's average. That's what it is. But their tight ends, which I've said many times, and I thought before the season, they got to be a tight end centric team. And I really haven't quite seen it. That was a good game yesterday, but they need more action than they've been getting for, I think, most of the year. Now, I don't know why, or maybe they're not practicing well. Who knows what? But
injuries, right?
To me, that's their matchup. That's where they have an advantage.
Yeah.
And, these guys can run. And, they can get good matched up against linebacker, safety, whatever, and they can beat them. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes as time goes on. But that jumped out to me also about the game.
I agree with you. I think for this team going forward, the offense, right, it's just a 4-man attack, really, as far as just their bread and butter. It's Josh Allen, of course, with his ability to run and throw and just to be physical with his presence, right? James Cook, of course, in the offensive line and their running attack. And then from there, you're right. It's the 2 tight end sets. And if Knox and Kincaid are healthy together at the exact same time, it's going to help with the running attack. It's going to help with the vertical passing attack. It's going to help out with the play action passes as well. I totally agree with you. They're turning into one of those teams where Cook is the explosive guy. And now it's Knox, Kincaid, Gabe Davis, and sprinkle in a little Shakir and Shavers when you need to. But it's about just being big and strong and physical in the back end for catching, right? Yeah. With those 3 guys, and more in particularly with the tight ends. And then Shakir and them can kind of work some stuff underneath when they need to.
Yeah, you know, when the interception happened and he ran it back for the touchdown, I felt cheated. I'm like, oh man, this was really coming down to, and
Yeah.
I said, well, maybe it's not over yet, So I really did, and
Right.
I like both teams. I root for all the guys or whatever, but man, Joe Burrow before that play, what do you call? What is he, Joe Cool? What's the word everybody says about him? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just it was great. So, but the bad thing is, as soon as it happened, I said, "Well, Cincinnati Bengals season's over."
Yeah. Yeah. It's unfortunate that that's, where we find ourselves with, but to the end for Cincinnati, very entertaining football game. Played extremely well. T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki played extremely well for the Cincinnati Bengals. Of course, Joe Burrow was phenomenal. They only rushed the ball 19 times for 62 yards. So even the Bengals couldn't take advantage of the fact that, the Buffalo Bills struggle and run defense and all of that. They just, hey, it's about Joe Burrow. It's about the offense and they're throwing. And for a while there, they had the Bills on the ropes to keep their season alive. But the Bills, again, with another great finish at home to close out their last season in that stadium. So pretty special moment in the snow for the Buffalo Bills.
Really was.
Big guy. Let's stay to another place that's kind of cold this time of year. Green Bay. Okay. The Chicago Bears taking on the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers win the football game 28-21. We got to see a game that I think all of us, right, know that he's capable of having. We ask ourselves why this doesn't happen more often. Matt LaFleur definitely was ready to go. I need Matt LaFleur to just picture Ben Johnson on the opposite sideline all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he seemed like he was extra fired up for this matchup. So he needs a little tackling fuel, as they say in Waterboy, right? He needs to look across the field and imagine Ben Johnson's face on the opposing team's coach because he was ready to go. It seemed like he had all the bells and whistles ready for this one. But Jordan Love, 17-25, 234, 3 touchdowns, interception. Just played lights out, man. What'd you think about Jordan Love and his performance?
Well, the deep throws down the field, tremendous. I thought it was about as aggressive throwing the ball by him that I've seen all year. I'm sure it's not, but it's just my eye told me that. Right. The deep passes down the field, that's one thing. But he threw a couple other in between 15 and 20 yarders, probably about 15 yards. Man, I mean, he put some smoke on it. And I just go, wow, we just don't see that a lot because he's just he feels it, and he has many. He can throw the ball like baseball. He can throw it anywhere from 65 to 95. I mean, right. That's what he does. But throwing the ball deep down the field, high in the air, that was awesome to watch. I thought they had some good play designs for him. And I'm not saying this game was Kansas City and Houston, but damn, it was rough.
Yeah.
Both teams really played hard and that hitting, and it was just hard to pull anything over on the opposition. So, but overall, man, yeah, you got to be really happy with Jordan Love. We saw him kind of play that way in Detroit. And if he keeps, and that's up to Matt LaFleur. The design plays, which he does a good job of, but to keep calling them, to keep that going. Right. And I don't care what you say, when the quarterback like him is heaving that damn thing up in the air 50, 55 yards, defensive backs, even if it's incomplete, they're going to go, wow, we got to really cover some ground because this dude can, yes, of course. And I think that's a big thing too. Throw it deep. Don't just get into nitpicking, which they do sometimes, and threaten and put the defense under more pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's what the game plan was, because it seemed like it was like we're going to run power runs when we can directly at them to just be physical and let Josh Jacobs just get in there, wear him out, be tough, be physical. Let's just churn yards. Let's just get yards on the ground, 20 carries for 86 yards and a touchdown.
Wow.
And then it was the vertical passing attack. And I think that's what's interesting going forward for Dennis Allen and this defense of the Chicago Bears. They're great at forcing turnovers. They did pretty well at forcing an early turnover on Jordan Love in this football game.
Yep.
But there were times where he went to cover zero type of pressures where he's blitzing everybody and just has enough for the skill guys to cover on the outside. And the Green Bay Packers made him pay, I feel like, every single time they did that. And that's the long touchdown pass to Christian Watson, where he's basically running that deep post route across the field. And then, of course, Christian Watson had another beautiful one on like a little quick slant or a deep slant route that he was hitting stride for another long play. So, for that game plan, curious to see if Dennis Allen switches it up the next time they play, because they will play each other again in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And for the Green Bay Packers, yeah, that's probably their recipe. It's an aggressive downfield throwing attack mixed in with just power runs in between. And, of course, Matt LaFleur sprinkling in some of the gadget plays that he's really become known for.
It's a great mix. Power throwing, running backs that smash into the wall, not worried about it, and then, of course, a few screens and other things that they do. It's really – they got the formula there, and it worked well in the game.
Yeah.
On the other side, I got up watching, listening, and I had to listen to somebody say Caleb Williams, he makes this one mistake or two. He makes 3 or 4 mistakes every game. Well, he didn't do that yesterday. He didn't play well. He played awesome. God almighty, Matt. I thought he was borderline great. And who was announcing the game? Oh, Tom Brady was. Well, Tom Brady a few times, Caleb rolling out there and throwing those things. He goes, oh my God. What it must feel like to be able to do that. But I thought overall, Chicago is not as good as Green Bay. Green Bay is a Super Bowl made team. Chicago is not. They're surprising people, good coaching, key guys are coming through. That's why they have a good record, but they're not the Green Bay Packers, or at least, potential wise, I don't think so. Okay. But Caleb Williams, the movement, the throws, getting out of trouble was fantastic. And on the interception, yes, it was a tough throw. And everybody, I'm watching, this guy was open and this guy was open. No, he looked at the first read of the damn play. That's the way you read it, high and then lower. And he just missed the touch. And so, but overall, I thought Caleb Williams played well. It was a great effort by the Chicago Bears. They're going to learn from that a lot. But as I watched it, and I think now, man, it's going to be hard for anybody to beat the Green Bay Packers, especially the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, and someone that I don't know, honestly, how many people really discuss him outside of this. I feel like I don't watch as many other like NFL shows as maybe you come across, but like Jeff Hafley has really done a phenomenal job. And the defense that they run, the defensive fronts that they run and throw at quarterbacks, I thought Caleb Williams had zero chance in certain situations of picking up the pressures or adjusting to protection, because there really wasn't there's not many indicators that would tell you that guy was blitzing or this person, so Jeff Hafley is really doing some very unique, exotic pressures with great talent added to that. And they are a very disruptive unit. They only had the 1 sack, and credit to Caleb Williams' ability to get out of danger on a few of those plays and his great throwing on the run. Most quarterbacks probably would have been sacked in some of those situations he found himself in. But yeah, I mean, the Green Bay Packers defense is scary good, is scary fast. They can make big time plays. And all that being said, it's a 1-score football game.
Wow.
And, would not be shocked if the Bears win in the rematch here in a few weeks, just because they do have a formula that I think can defeat the Green Bay Packers. If they can run the football a little bit better, that makes all of the other stuff that they did well that much more improved for their second time around.
Matt, just think how close they were. If he gets the ball just another couple of feet, kind of was whatever. It's going to be a touchdown. And as they were down there, and I was thinking this, man, if they score, he's going to go for 2.
Right.
He can't it's not like prolonging the game is not a great thing for the Chicago Bears.
Nah, he was going for it.
Your quarterback can only get out of trouble so many times.
Yeah.
So many times he has to avoid a blitzer, shake somebody off, and outrun them to the sideline to make these, ridiculous throws.
Yeah.
So, Chicago, look, a lot of great things about them. But running the ball, playing defense, and all that, there's still, and I understand when Ben Johnson says our passing game and is not where it should be. Okay, you're probably right, but don't say it in that way to me, because your quarterback I mean, what the hell did you expect? You're going to get Patrick Mahomes right away? I mean, we got to build on this. And I thought that kind of put, the wrong message out to the
Yeah.
public, which
I
I'm
mean,
not
but
crazy
I
about.
also think that's him just being like, hey, you're new to being a head coach. You don't really know exactly what you're saying or how you're saying it, how it could be spun right in a negative
Right.
way. And the truth is too is that Caleb Williams has unreal expectations. Until he wins a Super Bowl, everyone's gonna say, like
Yeah.
that's just kind of really what we're setting him up for,
Amazing.
and it is amazing. And meanwhile, like JJ McCarthy has one good game, and I was like, oh man, like look at JJ. It's like, all right, slow down,
Well,
like we're
well, you got to
so
admit he played pretty good
he
yesterday.
played
So,
very good. He
yeah.
absolutely did. So, but I'm just saying, like, it's very funny how, every week, we have to put out these fires. We got to lift this person up and we got to do, and it's just like NFL's tough. Only one damn team wins it. And if you're not that one team, nobody gives a shit. It's just that simple. Right.
Well,
But,
yeah, Matt, let me ask you this. Really,
yeah.
the situation, just to put it in context, that just, I don't know, you can say what you believe. I'll say what I believe. How many quarterbacks could have kept Chicago in the game the way he did and had it and give the team a chance to win it late in the game? And we're looking at basically one play. I mean, you think there's 10 guys in the league could do that?
I would say Matt Stafford, but not really in a sense because Caleb had to run a little bit more, so he couldn't run, So, like talent wise, yes, but the running and all that, no. Joe Burrow, a healthy Joe Burrow, Josh Allen.
Well, Josh Allen, yes.
Well,
there's
that's about it.
Justin Herbert, maybe running.
Justin Herbert, yeah. Lamar, right?
Lamar, yeah, when he's healthy. That's another thing. Lamar, I mean, man. Not to get off this Green Bay game.
No, it's okay. Like, are you good with the Green Bay Chicago?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I think we hit it.
All right, so now, hey, let's go to it. Big guy. This is Sims Complete on the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. Big guy, your thoughts? Hey, Baltimore Ravens, Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start with Baltimore and Lamar. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm my first thought is they played better Pittsburgh than I thought they would. Baltimore than I thought they would. Just because I've been watching Lamar and it's not right. Right. He's not as explosive, not throwing the football as well. I mean, come on, quarterbacks are funny this way. The legs are not exactly what maybe he wants, feeling wise, and that affects the throwing. It affects his movement. I mean, I never saw him in a game where he had to jump and throw passes before he got tackled and getting tackled from behind. And you don't see the speed taken off. So I don't know what it is, ankle, a hamstring, whatever. But they did a really good job of hanging in there. I thought Pittsburgh actually would control the game and win, just because Lamar's not the guy that he usually is. But, yeah, I got to be – Baltimore got some bad breaks in that game.
They really did.
And but it was interesting to watch. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, I give them a little credit. They hung in there and kind of stayed ahead of it the whole time. And especially towards the end, they made some good plays at the end of the game to be the winning team.
Your thoughts, Isaiah Likely, that play there in the end zone there towards the end of the game. Is that a touchdown in your eyes?
In my eyes, yes.
Yeah. In your opinion, is it a touchdown?
Well, I'm going to be, listen, by the rule, no, it wasn't a touchdown.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it was made clear by the officials at the game, by the headquarters, everything. And it's been talked about.
And what was the rule too, though? It was like they needed a third act, right? Is that what
third act?
Yeah. Which to me is like, why do we need a third act when there's nowhere to go? You're in the end zone. You got 2 feet down. Play's over. Done. What's the third act for, though? You can't go anywhere.
I don't know. Maybe to make it clear, to give it a clarity, because the third act could give you whatever. But I would say this: when the offseason comes and the owners get in those meetings, they might change that rule, because I think it was confusing to everybody.
Yeah, like this whole he needs this transition or like I said, this third act, and I'm just like, the third act makes sense when you're in the field of play. I get that. right? When you're between the two goal lines, right? And you're in the middle of the field. I understand you have to show that you're making a move up the field or this or that. I get that. But when you're in the end zone, the act is being in the end zone. That is the third act, 2 feet and that's it. There's nowhere to go. So I'm a little frustrated with that, I guess.
Yeah,
Now,
no, yeah, rightly so. Rightly so.
unfortunately, Isaiah Likely finds himself now at the end of the game here. This one against Pittsburgh, I think back to the game against Kansas City where his damn toe is on the back end line on the game-winning throw. I mean, so this kid has been like this close to being the superstar, for them in critical moments. Pittsburgh played great.
They did.
Aaron Rodgers had the best game of his career. What's funny about Aaron Rodgers is like, in the post game, he's like, oh, hopefully that'll, shut all you guys up. And it's like, Aaron, you only played well because we were calling your ass out in the first place. So we'll keep doing it because I want to see you play well instead of throwing another teammate under the bus for running the wrong route. So yeah, Aaron, keep listening to what we're saying. I know you're not listening to this show, but the other shows out there to fuel whatever that ego fire is that you have driving right now. But you played great, man. Good for you.
Yeah.
Let's see you do it again.
Yeah. Pittsburgh ran for 34 yards. Is that right?
Yeah, 34.
Jeez. I thought maybe I wrote it down. They had 51 plays, 284 passing yards. So yeah, I mean, man, when you look at the numbers that I looked at, I'm not a big numbers guy usually, but it was so lopsided for the Baltimore Ravens. I kept going, so how did Pittsburgh win? I'm trying to figure it out.
Right.
Well,
right.
We talked about one of them. You got to make it. What do you call it? What's the third element or what's
the third act or whatever?
Third act. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Whatever.
But hey, a couple guys, Bo Nix, that game. I want to just talk real quick.
Yeah.
I just watched as quick as I could. It took me about 20 minutes, but watching the Jacksonville Jaguars and the head coach, the quarterback, who definitely, when you watch him play, he's a different guy right now.
No doubt.
It's like he went, I don't like football. I love this. I mean, it's really evident. His mannerisms, you can see that he's very positive on the field.
Right.
As I watched it, I just went, man, they're pretty good. And I go, God, that's right. They had a 19-point lead against Houston. And a miracle happens and they lose.
Yeah.
But Trevor Lawrence, the head coach, and just the whole team, they've kind of caught fire.
Yeah, they have.
And I was not, of course, I don't think either one of us was surprised that they won the game and won it easily.
Yeah. Well, when Daniel Jones went out, like the game was over. So I mean, that's the facts, right? And for this team, you're right. I say for Trevor Lawrence and for Caleb Williams, early on in September, you could just see that the new offense, the new coaching staff, what they were asking the quarterbacks to do, they were very overwhelmed. Like visually, you could see it, right? That it was just kind of like, wait, who the hell am I setting in motion? What do I got to do here? Yeah. And now we're finally seeing for Caleb and for Trevor Lawrence, and probably more so, I think, for Trevor these past few weeks.
Yes.
He's very comfortable now. I feel like he's very confident. And it's amazing too how like when quarterbacks seem more confident on the field, it seems like they're bigger all of a sudden, just the mental presence of feeling more confident makes them have that presence on the field when they drop back to pass. And I see that from Trevor Lawrence. It's great to see Brian Thomas finally get involved in some big time plays. He had 3 for 87. That was huge for them. But it is just the overall toughness of Cohen, of Coach Campanelli on the defensive side.
No doubt.
They have zero fear. They give 2 damns about what your record is or how impressive you are. They're just going after the jugular, it seems like, all the time when you watch them play recently.
Yeah, they really are. It's kind of that team. I got to look, watch, and kind of root for them too, just to get rid of the narrative. I get tired of the same old, this, whatever.
Yeah.
So the head coaches come in, and I can't even imagine how hard a job that is to create a new atmosphere, very stern, but also knows when to say the right words in a different way to make all the players accept you even more.
Right, right.
And the enthusiasm, the celebrations, and just the fact, the way they play. I would think, I just think back when they played Kansas City down there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a wicked game, and it was good, it was bad, it was just kept going back and forth. And I would think that was just kind of the start of it. They're going, well, we just beat one of the teams that went to the Super Bowl. That had to give them some confidence. It's not like it turned around right away, but as the weeks go on, man, they every week they look a little better.
That's right. That's right. And right now, with just the AFC and how it's turning out, why not the Jaguars? Honestly, I mean that's what's wild about the AFC. I mean, I feel like you got, the Patriots seems to be the best overall football team. Of course, the Denver Broncos have a Super Bowl defense with a streaky offense. The Jacksonville Jaguars seem to kind of be putting it together on both sides of the football as well in these past 2 weeks. The Texans have a Super Bowl defense with a survival-like approach, I feel like, on offense week by week. So the AFC is interesting. Big Guy, your thoughts, too, on the potential of, hey, we're talking about C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence, and, of course, we were Daniel Jones before the injury.
Oh, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Well, think about the AFC playoffs right now, and
Right.
No Burrow, no Mahomes, and no Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell happened, Phil?
Well, what the hell happened? It's been another topic too on TV and even on radio when I was in the car, had to go somewhere, is that, just the fact that the NFL, the quarterbacks, and there's always a couple guys on every team making large amounts of money, which does hurt the roster. So that's one thing. And there's just so many good players out there right now. It's hard to dominate from start to finish.
Right.
It really is. And I had a great point about that. I already forgot what it was.
Well, I guess the one thing that you're saying, though, too, is like, Denver Broncos, Bo Nix is still on a rookie contract. Drake May, he's still on a rookie contract, right? They're at the top of their divisions and the top two teams in the AFC right now, because they're able to shelve out a lot of the other money to other important pieces to make their team more well-rounded.
Yeah, absolutely.
And C.J. Stroud.
Nothing about a game is going to shock me, really.
Right.
In other words, I think the difference between boom and boom is now turned into boom and right here.
Right.
It really has. I'm just not shocked by teams winning that I just think have no chance.
Right.
And they win. No, there's still a couple in the league that are funking it up. The Jets, oh my God, that's bad.
Yep.
And the Tennessee Titans, who did win, but they're starting to get together a little better as you watch their games. And the quarterback has quit throwing interceptions all over the place too.
Yeah, and listen, the Tennessee Titans, like, let's just face it, they're okay. It's just,
well, I know.
They are what their record is.
No doubt.
So that's it, right? And Cleveland, I would say they are not what their record is, but they do find themselves in this position, right? But
yeah, I think. At the door, Kevin Stefanski said he will start the rest of the year.
Yeah,
and rightly so. And when I look at Cleveland, I go, they got some pieces.
They do. They got a lot of pieces.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And in fact, and also they're going to have some draft picks coming up too.
Yeah.
It's kind of that team. Well, whatever. I don't want to get into that. Let's just.
I know, but they're really not there. I would just say that, for all the fans, especially in our New York area, the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants are in the exact same category, right? Their records, they stink. 2-11 and 3-10. There's no doubt. They have found some very creative ways to F up games week in and week out. But you do see times with the Browns and with the Giants of like, well, here they are against one of the better teams in the NFC, they're hanging in there. Actually, they're kind of beating them up. Actually, they should have won that game if they would have just X, Y, and Z a little bit better. So I think the gap, which is amazing, between last place and first place in the NFL, and the Patriots are a great sign of this too. It's not as big, right, of a chasm as we imagine it to be.
No, I think it really is. That's why, before the season, you pick all these teams or whatever, and nothing surprises me anymore. You're right. It's anybody can beat anybody, it seems like, and God knows who's going to be the Super Bowl winner. The teams. Well, I did pick Philadelphia before the year, so I have a lot of faith still there.
Right.
But man, there are a lot of people that pick Super Bowl winners, and they're not even going to get in the playoffs. a lot of these teams. So,
well, I feel very good about my Denver Broncos Green Bay Packers pick of the rematch of the '98 Super Bowl, right, between Elway and Brett Favre, right? Yeah, you broadcasted that game. So, so I still, now that Green Bay looked as good as they did yesterday, I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I got a shot here. All right, I got a chance.
Hey, they got a shot because they got the running back, they got speed at receiver, they got a veteran quarterback, and they got guys that can get to the quarterback every damn play.
That's right.
They are fast on defense.
Here, Phil. Damn right.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
All right. Well, hey, this is Sims Complete on the Believe Sports Network, brought to you by FanDuel. That's all we got for today's action. He's Phil Sims. I'm Matt Sims. We'll be back later this week to break down, to preview some of the upcoming weekend's matchups. Maybe talk a little college football too. Just kind of get Big Phil's 2 cents on some playoff picture stuff and all that. Got some really fun matchups to talk about. I think the 10-7 matchup between Miami and Texas A&M is absolutely fascinating because I think both of those 2 teams in the first round are very capable of winning the national championship. Wow. And the other thing, right, Big Guy, last year, all 4 teams who had buys lost.
I know.
Right? Will that happen again this year? I say nay, Phil, but
no way.
It is interesting to kind of think about just like, hey, it's a different task, right, for college players and coaches to manage that off week. And it's not just one bye week. It's like 4 weeks in a row because they start 2 weeks from now, but still.
Now, let me, so there's no games this week coming up.
Yeah.
Then the following week they're going to, so Indiana, what they said, we got 3.5 weeks before we play again. I was like, wow, that is a long time.
That's an eternity in college football. And Big Guy, just want to get your thought really quickly before we close this out. Notre Dame.
Right.
I'm not even going to ask you if they should be in or out, right? Because we all know they should be in, all right? And the system is flawed. They deserve to be in. But your thoughts on them deciding not to play in a bowl game? How do you feel about that? What side of the fence are you on with that discussion?
I think in the past years, I would be upset about it, but I absolutely see their view on it. But also it's about the players, the portal, going into the NFL. Why would you want to be part of that? That we always see that every single year. And I think it's bigger now than ever before.
Okay.
Because, God knows there's starters on Notre Dame. I don't know how many players they lose each year to the portal, but there's going to be some they're going to move on because they're going to get paid more money.
Right.
Between that, the group of absolute pro football players they have on their football team, well, they don't want to get caught in a bad situation. So long story short, it doesn't bother me near as much as it would in the past.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. I have kind of gone back and forth with my internal dialogue on this and just kind of how I feel about it. I think my first initial reaction was like, that's pretty petty. I mean, you guys you feel that way about it. If you can't play in the 12-team tournament, you're not going to participate. And of course, my initial reaction was like, well, you're just scared you might lose to somebody, in embarrassing fashion. Now, that might be the truth of it too, because the truth is that, a lot of their best players are not going to play in the bowl game.
But
a lot of the players that would get an opportunity maybe are transferring. So,
but what's the motivation? I think that's the biggest thing. You're like, what? And
I agree with that. I think bowl games really are just like, okay.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's like it's borderline, but at the same time, it does give your team an opportunity to celebrate the season, for you guys to have one more game, for younger players to get more experience during practice and all of that.
Sure.
So you can see positives in it, right? But of course, like with anything, we can make a case for both sides of this discussion.
Yeah. One more thing that comes up, I watched the Nick Saban on the show. What the hell's it called?
Paul Feinbaum?
No.
On College Game Day? Yeah.
College Game Day.
Yeah.
And he was talking
about the most
about
watched show every single weekend, but yeah.
It's what?
The most watched college football show every single weekend.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just find it funny. You're like, oh, that show that they do.
Well, I can't remember the title of the show. I'm not paying attention to that.
Right.
But Nick Saban, I love listening to him.
Yeah.
And he just talks about it, how they got to govern better, whatever, more succinct. It helps the teams and the players. And, the big, and I heard him, I don't want to misquote him. He goes, spring practice. Basically, I took it as this: spring practice. It's terrible. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Let's have OTAs. And I just went, wow, that's really interesting. I would have thought Nick Saban would want spring practice because
Well, he does. He just doesn't want it in the form in which the NCAA designed it, right? And I think that's also why he's always in the past, his spring games aren't spring games.
No,
his spring games are another spring practice, right? It's a formulated way for him to evaluate players in certain positions. So he does it a little differently that way. But I would agree. I think it's probably going to go a little bit more that way anyway for, I think, a lot of schools, right, who just kind of have that heavy turnover where it is a little bit more teach instead of actual just like play. So that's a good thing to think about. And of course, when we think about the rules of college football, for all those guys out there and girls who have these great, just fantastic ideas about the schedule and all that, just remember there's this thing called school involved. Because I've heard a lot of ideas and it's like, oh, they should do it this and this. And I'm like, yeah, but that's another semester, and like the transfer portal, like that kid's not at that school anymore. So now, so you just got to keep in mind that they are student athletes and you got to highlight the student part of it first before we go ahead and switch everything. But, Coach Saban said some interesting things. Greg McElroy made a great point. The leagues are so big now. You got to make the tie break process more straightforward, right? If you even have a process in general. But like the ACC, you can read the ACC's list of tiebreakers and all that stuff. And, it's kind of like the NFL rule book. After like the first sentence, you're like, all right, let me call my lawyer to figure out what the hell is going on, because it just doesn't make any sense, right, for a normal person to read it. And that's why you did have a 5-loss football team playing in the championship. But there's no doubt the system needs some correcting again. I don't know if it'll ever be perfect in our modern world that we live in with just, all this stuff. But either way, Notre Dame definitely got hosed. It's unfortunate. I understand why the committee left him out. I also feel terrible. They should be in. They definitely could have won a national championship this year. All right. We did what we did for Notre Dame. Sorry. We're Sims Complete. Believe Sports Network. Brought to you by FanDuel. He's Phil Simms. I'm Matt Simms. See you next time.